Have you ever felt like you're just running on a hamster wheel? You're putting in more hours than anyone, you're absolutely exhausted, but you're still not getting the results you want? If that sounds even a little bit familiar, you're in the right place. We're about to dive into a simple story with a huge lesson about what it really means to be effective.
It's this incredibly frustrating feeling, isn't it? You're the first one to show up and the last one to leave, but someone else who seems to be coasting gets all the credit. You're giving up your nights, your weekends, and for what? To feel like you're falling even further behind? It's enough to make you question everything.
And right here, this is the big idea. We're told over and over that hustle is everything, that being burned out is some kind of badge of honor. But what if that's just wrong? What if there's a missing piece to the puzzle, something that actually makes all that hard work pay off?
To really get this, we're going to look at a simple tale of two farmers. Let's call them Thomas and Richard. Thomas is a huge believer in pure, raw effort. He thinks the only way to succeed is to outwork everyone. But his neighbor, Richard, well, Richard seems to get amazing results without all the struggle.
And when you put them side by side, the difference is just wow. You've got Thomas up at 4 a.m., working 15+ hours a day with his bare hands, driven by the idea that success has to equal sacrifice. And his reward? Burnout, debt, and a weak harvest. Then you've got Richard. He works a comfortable 6 hours, uses modern tools, and believes strategy is everything. The result? He's profitable, he has free time, and his farm is thriving. It's a night and day difference.
This really gets to the core of it all. Thomas's effort level is off the charts, but what does he get for it? A tiny output. He's constantly in motion, but he's not actually making progress. Richard, on the other hand, puts in way less raw effort, but gets a massive return. This isn't about being lazy, it's about being strategic. And then a crisis hits. A terrible drought threatens to wipe out everything. So what does Thomas do? He does the only thing he knows how to do. He doubles down on hard work. He starts waking up at 3 a.m., hauling endless buckets of water, convinced that if he just suffers a little more, he can save his farm. But his body had other plans. After 2 weeks of this back-breaking work, he just collapses. The doctor tells him in no uncertain terms, if you keep this up, you're not going to see another harvest. Not because of the drought, but because your body is going to completely shut down.
And this is his rock bottom. Lying there, completely defeated, he asks himself this question. And for the first time, he realizes his entire life's philosophy, that hard work is the only answer, might be totally, fundamentally flawed. This is the moment that forces him to finally look for a new way. So, with nowhere else to turn, Thomas swallows his pride and goes to see Richard. He asks for help. And this one conversation, well, it's the encounter that changes everything.
Richard doesn't lecture him. Instead, he tells him a story. He says, imagine two woodcutters. One just swings his axe for 12 hours straight, no breaks. The axe gets duller and duller, and he gets more and more exhausted. The other guy, he stops for 10 minutes every hour to sharpen his axe. The first guy laughs at him for wasting time. But at the end of the day, who do you think cut down more trees? The one with the sharp axe. Twice as many, in fact.
And that's the whole idea behind sharpening your axe. It's not just about taking a break. It's about taking the time to invest in your tools, whether that means learning a new skill, building a better system, or just getting enough rest so you can actually think straight. It's the stuff that makes your hard work work.
Then Richard just looks at him and says this. You've been swinging a dull axe for years, wondering why your hands are bleeding but the tree isn't falling. And that line just hits Thomas like a ton of bricks. He finally gets it. The exhaustion, the burnout, they weren't signs of dedication. They were signs of a broken strategy. Okay, so this realization is the starting point. Richard then breaks it all down for him into 3 really simple practical principles. This is the how-to guide for sharpening your own axe. And here they are, the 3 pillars of working smart. First, build systems instead of just relying on effort. Second, focus your energy instead of just hustling everywhere. And third, treat rest as a crucial part of your strategy. So, principle 1, systems over effort. Think about it. Thomas spent hours every single day just hauling buckets of water. That's motion. Richard, on the other hand, invested some time up front to build an irrigation system. That's progress. It's the classic build a pipeline instead of carrying buckets idea. Don't use brute force for a problem that a good system can solve for you.
Next up, focus over hustle. Thomas was trying to grow 5 different crops, spreading his time and energy so thin that he was just mediocre at all of them. Richard picked the 2 crops that had the highest value and poured all his energy into them. He achieved excellence. It's so true, right? Being a master of a few things is always better than being average at a bunch of things.
And this last one might be the hardest to swallow in our nonstop world. Rest is strategic. It's not a luxury, it's a weapon. A tired brain can't solve problems. It makes dumb, expensive mistakes. But a mind that's had time to recharge, that's when you're creative. That's when you spot the opportunities that everyone else is too exhausted to see.
So Thomas takes these 3 principles to heart. He goes back to his farm, but he's a completely different man. He's no longer focused on just being busy. He's focused on being effective. And look at how he did it. The most important thing he did was in week 1. He stopped working. He actually paused the endless grind to think, to research, and to plan. From there, he built his irrigation system and narrowed his focus. It wasn't one magic fix. It was a series of smart, strategic decisions. And the result? It was incredible. At the very next harvest, while working way fewer hours, his farm produced 40% more than it ever had before. That didn't come from more sweat. It came from a better strategy. The before and after here is just staggering. He went from 15-hour days of stress and failure to 7-hour days that left him healthy, happy, and successful. He didn't just save his farm, he got his entire life back. And he did it by getting smarter, not by just trying harder. So what's the big takeaway for us from this whole story? It really boils down to these 3 things. First, look for ways to build systems and automate. Second, figure out where your energy has the biggest impact and focus there. And third, please, remember that you can't think clearly when you're running on empty. Rest is part of the work.
All right, so now it's your turn. I want you to think about your own life, your own work. Where are you swinging a dull axe right now? What is that one repetitive, draining task that you could build a smarter system for this week? Don't just nod along to this story, actually apply it.
Because at the end of the day, that's the whole lesson, isn't it? Your best work, your best ideas, they come when your mind is sharp, not when your body is broken. It's time to stop glorifying exhaustion and start rewarding effectiveness. Because strategy beats exhaustion every single time.